We grew up with these classic Disney princesses, but get ready to see them like never before. Find out which of your beloved heroines was really meant to be a villain, and get ready to have your world turned upside down. But first, be sure you're subscribed for the latest from the taco. Let's get started.
Join us on an adventure with Mulan, Ariel, and Jasmine as they end up in dire circumstances in our first ever Disney Princesses fan fiction, all told with emojis. This is an adventure you don't want to miss out on. Catch it on March 10th, 2018, only on the Things YouTube channel.
Elsa. You might have trouble letting it go once you see the original concept art of Elsa from Frozen. You see, she wasn't meant to be a Disney princess at first, but rather a villain. In the original version, Elsa and Anna weren't related. Anna was just a peasant who asked the evil Snow Queen, Elsa, to freeze her heart. If going to an evil witch for magic to help you with your romantic life sounds familiar, that's because it sounds like the plot of The Little Mermaid. In fact, Elsa actually once bore a striking resemblance to our favorite sea witch, Ursula. However, they ended up making Elsa a hero and making Frozen a box office hit. Merida. Many Disney princesses have impossibly slender waists and absurdly shiny hair. And then there's Merida from Brave. Director Brenda Chapman wanted her to stand out and be more realistic than her fellow princesses. She set out to create a character who looked athletic and had a wildness about her, but the rest of the Disney team wasn't so sure and wanted to give Merida a Disney-caliber makeover to make her look much more glamorous. But the public backlash was immediate and severe. It turns out people didn't like the way that Merida was supposed to look and preferred the old version. Thankfully, Disney toned down the glammed-up version and Merida was back to her old self. Tigerlily. Disney has been around for a long time, and there are sadly some things about even our favorite movies that have just not aged well. One of those things is the depiction of Native Americans in Peter Pan. Let's talk about the tenacious princess Tigerlily. She's supposed to be a princess, yet she wears an incredibly plain feathered headdress with a single feather. It's far more likely that it would have been decorated with intricate quill work and beads, given her status. And her hairstyle is one that was only used by a few tribes in the Northeast, making it unlikely that it's one Tigerlily would have adopted. Alice. Did you know that Alice from Alice in Wonderland was based on a real little girl? Author Lewis Carroll knew her father, Henry Liddell, who was the dean of Christ Church College at Oxford, and later became a friend of the family. Unlike the Disney version, the real Alice had short brunette hair. She was also much younger looking, since she was 11 years old at the time. But like the fictional Alice, the real one also loved fantastical stories. So much so that she begged Carroll to write down her favorite tales. If it wasn't for that, we would never have gotten the eventual Disney version of the story. Megara. We love Hercules, and especially the sassy heroine, Megara. We know that the original mythology that the story is based on is considerably darker than the Disney version. Now, we won't get into the sad ending to the love between Megara and Hercules, we're just going to talk about her outfit. The must-have garment at the time was the Doric chiton, named after the Dorians who invaded Greece. These tunics were simple pieces of cloth folded in different ways and fastened at the shoulders with clasps. So while Megara wears what looks like a stunning slinky gown, she should really be wearing a much less flattering garment. Nala. Disney got a lot of things right when it comes to the animals of The Lion King, but not everything. The movie mostly focuses on future king Simba, but in real life, it's the lionesses that do most of the work. This means that Nala would have been an adept hunter, and as an adult would have likely borne many scars from intense hunts. Many lionesses are missing an eye, a condition called silver eye. When they're not being ferocious hunters, lions can sleep up to 20 hours a day. This means that if the movie was a bit more realistic, we would have seen a lot of slumbering lions, which wouldn't have been very interesting. Moana. When it comes to Disney princesses, Moana is definitely one of the most realistic. It was important that she looked athletic enough to do all the fantastical things she accomplishes during the movie. But while her companion, Maui, was covered in tattoos, it's likely that Moana would have been as well. Tattoos are an important part of Polynesian culture, and it's said that they can tell the story of a person. It was especially important that high-ranking citizens were tattooed, meaning that a chief's daughter like Moana would have definitely had some ink. Sure, the women weren't tattooed as heavily as the men, but they still had them on their hands, arms, feet, ears, and lips. Ailoni. One of the less popular Disney movies, The Black Cauldron, still holds a special place in our hearts. It's based on a series of fantasy novels called The Chronicles of Prydain, and the Princess Ailoni we know looks quite different in the books. She was almost always seen in a simple white robe and never took off her silver crescent necklace. In her hands, you could usually find a sparkling golden bauble. Although she did have blonde hair, she was also said to have delicate features and look almost elven in appearance. Tiana. We could go on and on about the unrealistic lessons Disney has taught us about hair, but let's spend a moment discussing Tiana from The Princess and the Frog. The story takes place in the 1920s, when flapper style was all the rage. That means that instead of her long hair, it's more likely Tiana would have had a fashionably chic haircut. In addition, the dress shape during that time was quite distinctive. We're talking knee-length, dropped waist, and normally sleeveless, instead of poofy ruffles that so many Disney princesses default to. It's more likely we would have seen lace, fringe, beads, or shimmery fabric. Jasmine. Most of us are well aware of the fact that Agrabah isn't a real place. However, we've gathered enough clues to figure out that it's supposed to be somewhere in the Middle East. And considering the fact that pretty benign album covers get censored when they make their way over there, you can probably guess how well Jasmine's belly-bearing outfit would go over. In addition to covering up for modesty, layers of loose clothing would have provided protection from sand blowing in the wind and the sun beating down. Because she was a woman of high class, it's likely that she would have worn a veil that covered most of her face at all times. Which Disney princess do you think could use a makeover? Be sure to let us know in the comment section. For more about your favorite Disney movies, click the subscribe button for more from the taco. Bye for now.